Now that we've tidied up our spaces and our minds, let's talk about something that might be cluttering up your bank account without you even realizing it. Have you ever looked at your monthly statement and wondered, what's this charge for? If so, you're not alone. Today, we're going to dive into the world of subscriptions and learn how to cut that financial fat. Remember when we used to buy things once and own them forever? Now it seems like everything's a subscription. Streaming services, meal kits, beauty boxes, they're everywhere. And while they can be convenient, they can also be a sneaky drain on our wallets. So, how do we tackle this subscription overload? Well, I've got a few tricks up my sleeve that I think you'll find helpful. The first step is to become a subscription detective. I know it sounds a bit silly, but bear with me. Here's what I do. I check my entire bank account daily. Yes, every single day. It might seem like overkill, but trust me, it's worth it. This habit helps me spot any recurring charges for services I might have forgotten about or no longer use. It's amazing how many sneaky subscriptions can hide in plain sight. But what if you're not keen on daily bank statement checks? No worries, I've got another method for you. Try keeping a list of every subscription you sign up for. It doesn't have to be fancy. A simple note on your phone or a piece of paper will do. Then, every few months, review this list. You might be surprised at how many services you've signed up for and forgotten about. Here's a tip that's been a game changer for me. I use a separate email address for all my promotional offers and subscriptions. This way, when I'm ready to do a subscription audit, I just check that email. It makes it so much easier to identify unnecessary services. Now let's talk about negotiating better rates for the services you want to keep. Did you know you can often get discounts just by asking? It's true. Next time you're at a store checkout, don't be shy about asking if they have any coupon codes. You'd be surprised how often they do. And for those ongoing subscriptions like cable or internet, give them a call. Tell them you're thinking about canceling and ask if they have any special deals. More often than not, they'll offer you a discount to keep your business. But what about alternatives to paid subscriptions? Well, have you considered your local library lately? Libraries these days are amazing. They often have extensive collections of books, movies, and magazines that you can borrow for free. Some even offer non-resident library cards, which can expand your access to free content even more. And here's a fun fact, many libraries now offer ebooks too. So if you love reading on your tablet or e-reader, you can still take advantage of your library's resources. Lastly, don't forget about freebie apps. These can be great for finding discounts or free alternatives for various products and services. Just be careful not to get tempted into buying things you don't need. Remember, the goal here isn't to eliminate all subscriptions. It's about being mindful of what you're paying for and making sure it aligns with your needs and budget. So why not take some time this week to do a little subscription detox? Your wallet will thank you. Now that we've tackled subscriptions, let's roll up our sleeves and get a little creative. Have you ever looked at a household problem and thought, I bet I could fix that myself? Well, you're probably right. Today, we're going to explore some DIY delights that can save you money and give you a sense of accomplishment. Let's start with something we all use every day, cleaning products. Did you know that you can make effective cleaners with ingredients you probably already have in your kitchen? It's true. One of my favorite DIY cleaning solutions is a simple glass cleaner. All you need is 1 part vinegar and 3 parts water. Mix it up in a spray bottle and voila! You've got a streak-free cleaner that costs pennies compared to store-bought versions. But why stop at glass cleaner? You can make all sorts of cleaning products with common household items. Baking soda and lemon juice are 2 powerhouse ingredients that can tackle almost any cleaning job. I use a paste of baking soda and water to scrub my sink, and it works like a charm. Not only are these homemade cleaners cheaper, but they're also better for the environment. Now let's talk about extending the life of your household items. Have you ever tossed something in the trash because of a small tear or a loose button? With some basic repair skills, you can save those items and your money. Learning to sew a simple stitch can work wonders. I once saved my daughter's favorite stuffed animal from the trash heap with just a needle and thread. The look on her face was priceless, and it only took me about 10 minutes. Here's another tip. If you have black clothes that are starting to look faded, try dyeing them. It's easier than you might think, and it can give new life to old favorites. I've saved quite a few pairs of black jeans this way. But what about those items that seem beyond repair? That's where upcycling comes in. Upcycling is all about taking something old and giving it a new purpose. For example, I turned an old ladder into a bookshelf. It not only saved me money, but also became a unique conversation piece in my living room. If you're not sure where to start with repairs or upcycling projects, YouTube can be your best friend. There are tutorials for just about everything. I've learned how to fix a leaky faucet, patch drywall, and even do basic car maintenance, all from watching videos online. It's amazing how much you can learn and how much money you can save by doing things yourself. Remember, DIY isn't just about saving money. It's also about developing new skills and gaining confidence in your abilities. Every time you fix something or create something new, you're building your DIY muscles. And trust me, there's nothing quite like the satisfaction of pointing to something in your home and saying, "I made that," or "I fixed that myself." So, are you ready to embrace your inner DIY enthusiast? Start small with a homemade cleaning solution or a simple repair. Before you know it, you'll be tackling bigger projects and watching your savings grow. And who knows, you might just discover a new hobby along the way. Now that we've explored some DIY solutions, let's talk about something that can really supercharge your savings: the power of community. Have you ever thought about how much money we could save if we all work together? It's pretty amazing when you think about it. Remember when neighbors used to borrow a cup of sugar from each other? Well, we're going to take that idea and run with it. I'm talking about creating a local sharing group for rarely used items. Think about it. How often do you really use that pressure washer or those camping tents? Probably not every day, right? Here's what I did. I started a Facebook group for my neighborhood. We call it our share shed, even though it's all virtual. The idea is simple. If you need something, you post about it. If you have something to lend, you offer it up. It's been a game changer for our community. One of my neighbors borrowed my ladder to clean her gutters. Another time, I borrowed a sewing machine to hem some curtains. We're all saving money by not having to buy things we only use once in a blue moon. Plus, it's a great way to get to know your neighbors better. But why stop at tools and household items? Let's talk about clothes and books. Have you ever looked at your closet and thought, "I have nothing to wear," even though it's full of clothes? I bet your friends feel the same way. That's where clothing swaps come in. I started organizing seasonal clothing swaps with my friends. We all bring clothes we no longer wear or have outgrown. Then we have a fun afternoon trying on new outfits and catching up. It's like shopping, but without spending a dime. We do the same thing with books. It's amazing how quickly you can refresh your home library without spending any money. Plus, it's fun to discuss books with friends and get recommendations. The key to making the most of these community resources is to get involved. Don't be shy about asking what's available. You might be surprised at what you find. And if your community doesn't have these programs yet, why not be the one to start them? Remember, frugal living isn't just about cutting costs, it's about being resourceful and building connections. When we share resources, we're not just saving money. We're creating a more sustainable lifestyle and strengthening our communities. So why not give it a try? You might just find that sharing is not only caring, it's also a great way to pad your wallet. Now that we've explored ways to share resources and build community, let's talk about a mindset shift that can really transform your finances. Have you ever heard the saying, "buy cheap, buy twice"? Well, there's a lot of truth to that when it comes to frugal living. Today, we're going to dive into the idea of quality over quantity and how it can actually save you money in the long run. I know what you're thinking. Fintuber, how can spending more money on expensive items be frugal? It sounds counterintuitive, right? But hear me out. When we focus on buying high-quality items that last longer, we often end up spending less over time. Let me give you an example from my own life. A few years ago, I needed a new pair of running shoes. I was tempted to go for the cheapest option, but a friend convinced me to invest in a good pair of Asics. They were more expensive up front, but you know what? Those shoes lasted me 3 times as long as my cheap pairs usually did. Plus, they provided better support, which meant fewer aches and pains. In the end, I actually saved money and took better care of my health. But how do you know when it's worth investing in quality? That's where research comes in. Before making any big purchase, I always take the time to read reviews and compare products. It's amazing what you can learn from other people's experiences. I use websites like Consumer Reports and even YouTube reviews to get a real sense of how products perform over time. Now, I'm not saying you should break the bank on every purchase. It's all about balance. When I'm considering a more expensive item, I ask myself a few questions. How often will I use this? How long do I need it to last? Will a higher quality version save me money on repairs or replacements down the line? One strategy I found helpful is to calculate the cost per use. Let's say you're looking at two coffee makers. One costs $30 and lasts about a year with daily use. The other costs $100 but is known to last 5 years or more. If you do the math, that more expensive coffee maker actually costs less per cup of coffee over time. Plus, you're creating less waste by not having to replace it as often. This mindset has really changed how I shop. Instead of impulse buying cheap items, I take my time to save up for things that will really last. And you know what? I found that I actually enjoy my purchases more when I've put thought into them. But here's a tip. Just because something is expensive doesn't always mean it's high quality. That's why research is so important. I once splurged on a fancy blender, only to have it break down after a few months. Lesson learned. Now I always check customer reviews before making a purchase. Remember, frugal living isn't about depriving yourself. It's about making smart choices that align with your values and financial goals. By focusing on quality over quantity, you're not just saving money in the long run. You're also reducing clutter, minimizing waste, and often supporting more ethical production practices.